you want to be a great parent, it's really freaking hard for me to say because I know that when I was growing up, I was a freaking nightmare. And when I walk around by doing grocery shopping and all this kind of stuff, and I see parents with kids, and I look at those kids and how they behave, I'm like, man, you just need to beat that kid because they're a freaking nightmare. So it goes over my head if anybody wants to leave their kids so much money as retirement fund. But anyways, scenario 2 is if you don't have 13K, you still hate that kid because whoever gave you $1 million when you retire, are you gonna have like $1 million because your parents did the right thing when you retire? Most of us, no, we're not gonna have $1 million just because our parents put in 13K when we were born. But if you don't have 13K when your kids are born, then what you could do is before we get started, make sure to go over to the subscribe button, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to get any new updates from us. I promise you it'll be a lot of value. You'll learn a lot, you'll get a lot of tips and tricks that you can share with your friends to make you seem all the more smarter. Hey CourseHacker, welcome back to another episode of How Money Works with your host, me, Donald. That sounded so lame. Jimmy Fallon does it way better, and I should not try being like him. But anyways, in the last video, we ended up with playing with our calculator, but we didn't get to it. And you could get my calculator by going to the description below and joining our newsletter. And we're gonna play with some examples to give you an idea of how things really look like. So for the parents or soon-to-be parents, here's your scenario. Your ungrateful kid's retirement. You're going to invest $13,000 at birth at 6.5% interest rate, compounded monthly until retirement age at 67. Now you see on the screen, the result of that is $1 million. So by doing that, you pretty much have $1 million baby because at the time your kid retires, they'll have $1 million thanks to your help. So if you want to calculate that, all you need to do is go here, and what you invest is $13,000 at a 6.5% interest rate, compounded monthly for 67 years. That'll give you that $1 million, $1,441.80. So we just rounded up to 442 because he has $1 million. What's 20 cents gonna be to him? So you could do that if you want to. If you want to be a great parent, it's really freaking hard for me to say because I know that when I was growing up, I was a freaking nightmare. And when I walk around by doing grocery shopping and all this kind of stuff, and I see parents with kids, and I look at those kids and how they behave, I'm like, man, you just need to beat that kid because they're a freaking nightmare. So it goes over my head if anybody wants to leave their kids so much money as retirement fund. But anyways, scenario 2 is if you don't have 13K, you still hate that kid because whoever gave you $1 million when you retire, are you gonna have like $1 million because your parents did the right thing when you retire? Most of us, no, we're not gonna have $1 million just because our parents put in 13K when we were born. But if you don't have 13K when your kids are born, then what you could do is you invest 13K at 18 at a 6.5% interest rate, and you compound that monthly until the retirement age of 67. So for 49 years. Let's do some calculations. And I just ate, so I'm like getting burpy. I don't even know if that's a word. But 67 minus 18, that's 49 years. And that's not the calculation I was talking about because I really wanted to show you the calculator. So just do this, go to here, 49 years, and they'll give you $311,485.98. So we just rounded it up again. So if you don't have the money, or you don't want to invest it and have your kid have $1 million by the time they retire, then just invest $13,000 at 18 years old at 6.5% interest rate. And that's just an example. Your interest rate could be higher, could be lower, doesn't matter. But if you go with 6.5% for 49 years until they retire at 67, assuming they retire at 67, they'll have $311K thanks to you. So yeah, I mean, they really owe you one if you just leave that much money to them and they didn't have to do anything. So I just want to move on. Like, just imagine if your kid is like that, that's all sassy like that. Do you really want to leave that much money to them? I mean, like, for me, I leave them nothing. Actually, I'd probably leave them with debt. No, that's jokes. That's probably too far. I'd probably clean up my own debt, because I was looking at his face and like, this. He's not gonna become a doctor. Too sassy for that. And the parents would be like, yeah, we disown you now. But anyways, rants aside, lesson is your kid didn't earn that money. It's your investment strategy. So blow it before you're dead, because you deserve it. Take yourself on a trip, treat yourself to Vegas, treat your girlfriend, your wife, whoever you're with. It's your money. Who invested that money? You invested that money. Whose money is it? It's your money. And whose investment strategy is it? It's your investment strategy. Your kid didn't learn about this investment strategy, but if you want to teach it to him, then go ahead and teach it to him. So I want you to blow that money before you're dead on whatever you want. So we're gonna move on. No, we're not. Blow that money. See, I added a second photo of Vegas just to really drive the point home that it's not their money. You invested your own money. They didn't invest their money, so why should they get any part of the money? And just to make it even more solid, that's the third picture. That's your money. That's your strategy. You earned it. Your kid didn't earn it. They have their own legs and they have their own hands. They can go apply for a job and learn what you learned and then implement it for themselves. But at the end of the day, you did all the work, and I think you should reap the rewards. But anyways, don't forget to get my calculator by joining our newsletter with the link in the description below, bit.ly/CourseHack Personal Finance, and we'll give you some even better strategies than the one that you're learning now. So go ahead and do that. So you can leave a huge inheritance for your kids. Which is more likely to happen? You leave $1 million inheritance. That means when you die, you have $1 million that's going to your kid. A lot of people don't have $1 million when they die. So I don't know about that strategy. Or you could set aside $13,000 at birth, like we showed you in the first scenario, at birth, and let it grow. Or if you don't have $13,000 at the birth of your child, then you could just set aside $2,500 at birth and then contribute $250 per month for 4 years, and that will result in pretty much the same result as scenario number 2. So those are your options if you want to leave aside some money that you want to grow for your kid, or not, because I am a gigantic proponent of spending what you earn, or what you didn't earn, because you invested your money and your money earned it for you, but it's still your money, so what you earned. So how do you not let anyone touch the money? So like, if you die all of a sudden, how do you make sure that your 5-year-old kid wouldn't be able to access the money until they turn 18? So, side note, have you guys ever watched or read a series of unfortunate events? It just came into my mind right now, because I used to read that when I was a kid, growing up, and especially in elementary school, because that's around the time the books were released, and it's pretty much the same thing, because the three Baudelaire orphans and Count Olaf, I think that was the antagonist's name. He was the uncle that was trying to get the trust fund of the kids, but I think the eldest kid had to Violet. Man, I am remembering this stuff. Violet had to become 18 or something in order for her to access the money. So that's pretty much what trust funds is. They hold and protect the moolah, or the cash, or the money, or the slang, whatever you want to call it, until the requirement or the time is up. So if you leave a trust fund in your will or something, you can say that this money wouldn't be accessible until your kid turns 18. So that's how you not let anyone touch the money. You put them in trust funds. So the rule of 72 is a rule of thumb. It gives you an idea of how long it takes for money to double given a fixed annual interest rate of interest. So like, given a fixed annual rate of interest, okay, that sounds right. I'm like, if I say that fast, then I start doubting myself, and I start thinking, this doesn't really make any grammatical sense, but it makes sense. So basically, given like a 4% interest rate or a 8% interest rate, the rule of 72 really just is a rule of thumb giving you an idea of how much the money you have will double if it's invested into that interest rate. So like $1,000 at a 8% interest rate, how long will it take until that money is doubled? And that's the rule of thumb of the rule of 72. And right now, I want to ask you, what's the current interest rate on a savings account? So I'm gonna let you think about that, or Google fact check me, because at this point we're just gonna stop here. So go ahead and do a little bit of research. What's the current interest rate on a savings account? But before you do that, I want you to go down to our description and find the link, our bit.ly link, to click that link and join our newsletter to get calculator and tips and tricks with your investments. If you're interested in that, it's all completely free, because this time I think getting help or helping anybody and everybody is the main goal in this coronavirus pandemic where I'm currently filming at. So do that, join our newsletter, and please rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.